morning children. So today we are again with another session of the video class, and today we are going to deal with a lesson from your supplementary reader, that is Vistas. So let's see what is the chapter. So the title of the chapter is On the Face of It, and it's written by Susan Hill. Okay, this particular chapter On the Face of It is a play. Okay, it's a drama. So it's written by Susan Hill. So this is Susan Hill. She was born on 5th February 1942. And something about the author. Susan Hill, born on 5th February 1942, is an English author of fiction. Fiction means novel, and non-fiction works. Okay, both fiction and non-fiction works. Her novels include these are a few prominent works or novels written by Susan Hill. Include The Woman in Black. Okay, The Woman in Black, The Mist in the Mirror, and the King of the Castle. Okay, these are the major three works of Susan Hill. That is The Woman in Black, okay, The Mist in the Mirror, and the King of the Castle. And there is something that you have to note over here, that she received the Somerset Maugham Award in the year 1971 for her novel I Am the King of the Castle. Okay, this you have to remember. So Somerset Maugham Award was received in the year 1971 for her novel I Am the King of the Castle. Okay, and she was appointed commander of the Order of the British Empire in 2012 as birthday honors for her service to literature. And the next point that you have to keep in mind is about her work. Okay, so she is known to explore the inner fears and loneliness, isolation. Okay, her works reflects honest suffering as well as optimism. Okay, so the inner fears and loneliness as well as the work reflects honest sufferings of the people and the optimistic view that they are having, the characters are having. Okay, so this is about the writer. So going to the introduction of the play, that is On the Face of It, you can say that it's about two important persons. The major character, there are two important characters in this. The one is Derry and the other one is Mr. Lamb. Okay, Derry and Mr. Lamb. Okay, so this particular, if you have your textbook with you, you can see it's divided into scenes. Okay, and the story is about a teenage boy named Derry who has a burnt face. Okay, burnt face, and also another person, the other character, who is Mr. Lamb, who is a disabled old man with an artificial leg made of tin. Okay, here he is have a limb on his leg, and he has an artificial leg which is made out of tin. And Derry, what happens in the play is that Derry accidentally enters his garden, Mr. Lamb's garden, so that he can hide himself from people who hate him because of his ugly face. Okay, so his one side of his face is burned due to an accident. So he just enters the garden thinking that there is no one over here, accidentally enters. And why is he entering the garden? Because he wants to hide himself from other people. He doesn't want to be friendly with other people. He doesn't talk with other people. Okay, he just wanted to hide himself from other people, and he says that the other people hate him. Okay, because of his ugly face. Everybody are afraid to come in contact with Derry. He thinks like that. And Mr. Lamb, what does he do? Not only welcomes him in his garden, but also encourages him to lead a normal life, leaving behind his past. So what does Mr. Lamb do? He welcomes him, and also he gives him that advise him, saying that you have to look into the world, means you should not carry on the hatred in your mind. You have to love the world, you have to love yourself, and you have to means come out of all your negative thoughts, thinking that people hate me, they don't like me, I am an ugly person, etc. Okay, so this is about, in this manner, he just gives an optimistic view of life, and this helps Derry to lead a normal life in future. Okay, so this is the nutshell of the story or the play, right? So we'll just move on to the summary. I am just moving on to the summary. You can read the drama thoroughly, right? So the first scene begins, or it's located in Mr. Lamb's garden. There is an occasional sound of bird song and of tree leaves rustlings. Okay, Derry's footsteps are heard as he walks slowly and hesitantly through the long grass. He comes round a screen of bushes. When Mr. Lamb speaks to Derry, he is close at hand. Naturally, Derry is startled. He thought that there is nobody in the garden, but Derry is startled to hear the voice of Mr. Lamb. Mr. Lamb asks Derry to mind the apples. So there are the rotten apples which have been scattered on the grass under the tree. So he asks him that you have to mind the apples. Derry inquires about the person who is the speaker. He doesn't see him, he only hears the voice. So he asks who is the person. Mr. Lamb gives his name and again asks him to mind the apples. And he adds that those are crab apples. They have been blown down from the tree by the wind and are lying in the long grass. Okay, and the boy could step on one of them and fall. Unknowingly he can slip on that apple. And Derry tries to explain. He says that he thought that was an empty place. So Derry tries to explain that he thought that nobody is living over here. It's an empty place. So I just came in accidentally over here. And he did not know there was anybody there. Mr. Lamb asked him not to be afraid. Okay, so Mr. Lamb says, be cool, don't be afraid. Okay, there is no problem. He explains that the house is empty since he is out in the garden. So he says that obviously the house is empty because I am out in the garden. So obviously there is nobody inside the house now. He observes that such a beautiful day is not worth spending indoors. And he also says that this is such a lovely day and I don't want to spend my day, such a lovely day inside the house. So I just came out for a walk in my garden. Derry panics and says that he has got to go. So he says that I have to leave now. And Mr. Lamb assures him that he should not feel disturbed on his account. He doesn't mind who comes into the garden. Okay, it's not so Lamb makes him comfortable, saying that never mind, there is no problem. I don't mind anybody coming inside my garden. The gate is always open. And it was only the boy who climbed the garden wall. Okay, so the gate is always open. It is you who have taken the pain to climb the wall and jump into the garden. Derry is angry that the old man had been watching him. So he was all watching when Derry came into the, everything was seen by Mr. Lamb. And Mr. Lamb welcomes Derry. So he says that it's not a problem. Derry explains that he had not come to steal anything. So he explains, I have come here not to steal anything. I just came here to hide. Okay. Mr. Lamb assures him that he hadn't. So Lamb says that I never thought that you came inside my garden in order to steal. I have never thought like that too. He further adds that only the young lads steal. So he adds that only the little kids steal, not the big one like you. They steal apples from the garden. So they are stealing the apple from the garden. And he is not that young. Okay, Derry is not that young to steal things. Derry explains that he just wanted to come into the garden. So he again explains. He wants to go and says goodbye. Mr. Lamb tells that there is nothing to be afraid of. So he is in a hurry. Derry is in a hurry to leave the place because he is all panicked. Okay. So, but Mr. Lamb tells that there is nothing to be afraid of. And it is just a garden and only one person, that is he himself, is there. Derry then says that people are afraid of him. Okay, so there is nobody else over here. It's just a garden and I am the only person here. So why are you afraid of? So to that Derry says that people are afraid of me when they look at my face. So actually here we have to concentrate on the attitude that we people have towards the disabled person, isn't it? So whenever we see or we find a disabled person, we think or consider them as somebody different from, and we have a particular kind of, either a kind of sympathy towards them, isn't it? Or if they are having a deformed face, we'll have a kind of a hatred, disgusting look upon them. So all these things, Derry is facing all these things throughout his life, and this have made him think in that manner that people are afraid of seeing him, when they are frightened to see him. Okay, so this makes him think like that. It is just he asked Mr. Lamb to look at him, and after seeing his face, he might think that he is the most frightful and ugliest thing. Okay, so Derry says that you just look at my face, and after that you will come to a conclusion that I am the most frightful person and I am the most ugliest person in the world. Okay, and Derry says that when he looks in the mirror and sees his face, he is afraid of it. So Derry himself says that whenever I look into the mirror, I am afraid of myself. I hate my face. I don't like to look into my face. Mr. Lamb says that the whole of his face is not frightening. So he says that it's not that your whole face is so frightening. Only a part of your face is a bit frightening or a bit ugly, deformed. Okay. There is pause. So Derry is stunned to hear such a comment, and Mr. Lamb now changes the topic. Okay, he says when it is a bit cooler, he'll get the ladder and a stick and pull down those crab apples. Okay, so those crab apples he'll be pulling it for Derry. They are ripe for making a jelly. So it's not that means they are ripe for so that it can be used to make a jelly. And September is the right time of year for it. So it is the particular year for the crab apples and for making the jelly and the kind of things. And the apples look like orange and golden. Okay, so it looks like it's orange and it's golden in color. He tells Derry that he could help him. And Derry asks him what he has changed, what for what purpose he has changed the subject for. And he says that the old man does not ask him because he is afraid to do so. Okay, so why did you change the topic? And the old man does not ask him because he is afraid to do so. He says that he does not ask him because he is afraid to do so. Maybe thinking that Dari might be hurt if I keep on talking about all those things. Dari says that he doesn't like being with people, so he hates the company of people. And Mr. Lamb makes a guess. What is the guess? Perhaps the boy got burned in a fire. Okay, so he makes a guess that you had a fire accident. You might have got burned in the fire. And Dari says that he got acid all down that side of his face and it burned it all away. So the face was burned because of an accident caused by the acid. The acid had fallen down all over his face and it burned out that particular side of his face. Dari asks Mr. Lamb if he is not interested. The old man says he is interested in anybody and anything made by God, even grass, rubbish, weeds, flowers, fruit, etc. So he says that I am interested in everything that God has made, even if it is a weed, grass, rubbish, fruit or flowers, anything that God has made. He observes that it is all life developing just as they are. Okay, so he says that it is all life developing just as the human beings are. When Dari says that they are not the same, Mr. Lamb says that there is no difference. So he says that everything in nature is not the same. But to that, Mr. Lamb says that there is no difference between anything. Everything is created by God and there is no difference. He is old, Dari is young, and he has got a burned face. So the difference is, he shows that he is old, Dari is young, and Dari has got a burned face. The old man has got a tin leg. His real one got blown off years back in the war. So he lost his leg in the war. And some kids call him, what does he, some kids call Lemmy Lamb. But it doesn't disturb him. There are plenty of things other than his leg to stare at. So he is of that opinion that there are many other things to stare at. He has a face, he has his hands, he has his body, etc. So it can be looked upon rather than his lame leg. He refers to Beauty and the Beast. Maybe you might have heard or read the story when you are very small, Beauty and the Beast. And Dari says that, what does he say? No one will kiss him. Okay, no one will kiss him. He won't change. So if you know the story, once the Beauty kisses the Beast will be out from his curse and he'll be transformed into his older form. That is the story. So he is saying that no one will kiss me and I won't be undergoing any change. I will be remaining like this forever, ugly. Dari says that people talk about persons who are in pain and brave and never cry or complain and don't feel sorry for themselves. Okay, so Dari speaks that, says that people talk about persons who are in pain and they are brave and who doesn't cry on their situation. They are brave and they never feel sorry for themselves. People try to console people suffering from physical impairment by asking them to think of those people worse off than them. Okay, so if we if a lame person, okay, is just complaining about himself that he has a lame leg, one leg has been amputated or anything, okay, and if that person is shown another person without both the legs and both the hands, So it is that kind of a comparison that people make. Okay. So when a person is being consoled of his impairment means disability. Okay. So they would be asked to think about the people who are in a worse situation than themselves. So in that manner they can console themselves. Okay. It is being said over here. And they might have been blinded or born deaf or have to live in a wheelchair or be insane or and dribble. Okay, there are many kind of impairment. So when we think about the worst ones, we will feel that we are better than them. But all this will not change his face. So Dari is saying that, but does all these things bring a change on my face? No, never. So even totally strange persons call him terrible. Okay, so even if a person who is meeting him for the first time would be saying you are looking terrible. Okay, and that hurts him a lot. Dari repeats that he doesn't like being near people. Okay, and especially when they stare at him and when he sees them being afraid of him, and they stare and they just have a frightful expression on their face. Mr. Lamb then tells him the story of a man who was afraid of everything in the world. Okay, so he tells the story. So he locked himself in his room and stayed in his bed. A picture fell off the wall onto his head and killed him. Okay, so he got killed like that. And Dari says that the old man said peculiar things. Then he asks what he does all day. So he just changes the conversation and asks, what do you do all the day? To that Mr. Lamb replies that he sits in the sun, he reads book. And his house is full of books. His house has no curtains as he does not like shutting things out. Okay, no curtains are there. He likes the light and the darkness. He hears the wind from the open window. Dari too hears the sound of rain on the roof when it is raining. Mr. Lamb observes that he hears things. He is not lost. Okay, so he observes that he is not lost yet. He hears. And Dari says that people talk about him downstairs when he is not there. So maybe they might be passing comments about him in his absence. They seem to be worried about him and his future. Mr. Lamb gives him a very inspiring advice. He will get on the way he wants like all the rest as he has all the God-given organs. So he says that he will get on way he wants like all the rest and he has only the one side of his face is burned. The rest is all okay. God has given him all the organs. Okay. And he could even get on better than all the rest if he determined to do so. He can lead a better life than any other person if he determines, if he is having a strong determination in his mind. And Mr. Lamb tells Dari that he has hundreds of friends. The gate is always open and people come in. Kids come for apples, pears and for toffee. He makes toffee with honey. Sometimes his friendship may be one-sided. Maybe they won't be interested in keeping him as a friend. It might be one-sided. Even if Dari might never see him again, Mr. Lamb would be still his friend. So he says that even if you don't meet me again, you will be my friend forever. He tells Dari that hating others is bad. It harms more than any bottle of acid. So hating others is bad. It is worse than the acid. Everything is same, but everything is different. Dari's attitude shows a gradual change. So he has a change over his attitude and he wants to come there again. So he wants to meet Lamb again. He thinks that the other friends of Mr. Lamb might go away if he came. So he thinks that if I keep on coming here, the other friends of Mr. Lamb would be going away because of him, because of Durry. And Mr. Lamb assures him that people are not afraid of him because he is not afraid of them. Okay, and he says that people are not afraid of him because he is not afraid of them. And Durry wants to stay there, but he has to inform his mother where he is. He just came out without informing his mother. Durry wants to stay there for a little bit more, but he has not informed his mother. So his house is 3 miles away from Mr. Lamb's house, and Mr. Lamb asks him to just run and inform his mother. So Durry asks the old man about the persons who come there. He thinks that nobody ever comes there. Okay, so he asks about the people who are coming there, and he thought that nobody used to come there. The old man is there and by himself and miserable. No one would know if he were alive or dead, and nobody cared. Okay, and Durry says he will come back. Then Durry runs off. So Durry goes to inform his mother, and he says that he will come back. In the second scene, we see Durry and his mother. He informs his mother about the lame old man that he saw about Mr. Lamb. She tells him not to go there. And Durry says that he wants to go there, sit and listen to things and look. Nobody else have ever said the things the old man has said to him. Okay, so he was so much impressed by the old man, that is Mr. Lamb. When his mother says that he is best off there, Durry says he hates it there. He no longer cares about his face. It is not important. It is what he thinks, feels, sees, hears and finds out that is important. And he is going there to help the old man with the crab apples and to look at things and listen. If he doesn't go back there, he will never go anywhere in that world again. So he is just saying that if I don't go there, I won't be going anywhere else again in my life. If you don't allow me to go there, I won't go anywhere else. And the last scene is located in Mr. Lamb's garden. Okay, so Durry's mother allows him to go there. He reaches Mr. Lamb's garden, panting. He finds Mr. Lamb lying on the grass with the ladder. Okay, so he sees that Mr. Lamb is lying on the grass with the ladder. Durry tells him that he has come back, and since Mr. Lamb fails to respond, Durry kneels by him and begins to weep, and the curtain falls. The play has a very pathetic end. So in the end, I think it's means Mr. Lamb falls from the ladder and he dies. Okay, it is with the death of Mr. Lamb that the play comes to an end, and Durry is crying, weeping besides his dead body, and the curtain comes to a close with this. It has a pathetic end. The play has a very pathetic end. So what is the theme? Excuse me. Yeah, before that we have to just look into the conclusion, or just how the play is. On the Face of It by Susan Hill is a socio-psychological story of two individuals. This is very important. Two invalids, disabled person who live with two different views. Durry is having a very pessimistic view in the beginning, but Mr. Lamb has an optimistic view about life. Okay, so there are two different views. Durry is a young boy who lived a miserable life since a bottle of acid deformed his face, and Mr. Lamb, a lame old man who lived a cheerful life even after he had lost one of his legs in a blast. So Durry led a miserable life while he led a very cheerful life. The interesting thing is that Mr. Lamb himself was not very much of a happy man, although he appeared to be on the face of it. Okay, we cannot say that Mr. Lamb is an extremely happy person, because he did not express the sadness that he is having on his face. That is why on the face of it. Okay, outwardly. It is a story about how one is able to fight a deformity happily. Okay, a story that tells about triumph of optimism, how there is a victory of optimism. It tells the story. And about the theme of the play on the face of it depicts the fears of the handicap of being isolated and discarded from the mainstream society. People look them as the other. They are being isolated. Okay, both Mr. Lamb and Derry suffer from physical disability, but their attitude to life is totally different. Both of them have a different attitude to life. Mr. Lamb, in spite of having thin leg, keeps his doors and windows open and welcome everyone. But Derry, a young boy who has one side of his face burned, is angry and is hated by everyone. The play highlights the fact that the sense of rejection and alienation is more painful than physical impairment. The physical disability is nothing, but it is the rejection and the isolation that makes give them pain rather than the deformity that they are having. Okay, so with that we come to the close of the chapter. You can just go through the play thoroughly and you can ask me if you are having any doubts. Okay, thank you for the day.